Personally, what do you think his fucking problem was?
Well, that's another great question, man.
Yeah, for sure.
This is awesome shit, man. There was, and I had nothing to do with it. The University of Manitoba back in 2014 did a huge study on internet trolls. And what they found, again, and I use it, and thank you, because I talk about it almost every radio interview I do, because I really want to piss off the trolls that are watching and listening.
Goddamn right.
What they found, it's called the dark tetrad. What they found is that internet trolls are at much higher rates of being sadistic, narcissistic, Machiavellian, and psychopathic.
Welcome back to the Rumbling Facts podcast, everybody, where we dive into uncomfortable truths, challenge conventional thinking, and unpack the big topics that fucking matter. And each week we collide with expert insights to push critical thinking to the highest degree. And I'm your host, DJ Red Sam, and I appreciate all your support. If you haven't already, subscribe to the fucking channel here on YouTube or Spotify or Rumble. Your support means the world, people. And while you're at it, check out my music. It's DJ with Master Upside Down. That's DJ Red Sam, people. Today's episode is really important to me as we're going to explore the complex world of cyber psychology, online safety, and psychological impact on this digital age. I'm honored to have Dr. Michael Nuccitelli. Is it Nuccitelli?
Nuccitelli. You can just say
Nuccitelli. Okay. Michael Nuccitelli, a licensed psychologist, forensic expert, and the mastermind behind iPredator, Inc. Since 2009, Michael has been at the forefront of combating online predation, offering critical insights into the psychological tactics used by cyber predators and how we can safeguard ourselves from these fuckers. With over 2 decades of experience in cyber psychology, Michael has been recognized for his work in cyberstalking, online addiction, and internet enabling crimes. His unique approach blends psychology experts with forensic analysts, helping individuals and organizations understand the counteract of the dark side of this internet. Whether you're tackling troll trades, online psychopaths, or offering guidance for those dealing with cyberbullying, Michael's insights are invaluable, people, and he's one of the leading voice in this digital safety, and today we're lucky to tap into his knowledge. Welcome to the Rumbling Facts podcast, Michael. How you doing?
Oh, good. Good afternoon, and happy 2025 to you and your audience.
Yeah, let's go, 2025. Happy it's here finally.
And today we're going to be talking about iPredator, the name of the concept, which is a dark side of cyberspace concept that includes 8 different types of online aggressors, which we certainly can cover. So I will follow you.
What inspired you initially to create iPredator, and how has the landscape of online predation evolved since its inception in 2009?
Well, I've always been fascinated with psychology, dating back to even when I was a kid, probably really predating you. But when I was a child, I was, with my parents watching the Bob Newhart show, which those that are boomers and maybe some, early X-Gen. But Bob Newhart was a psychologist who had a gorgeous, gorgeous wife. Her name was Suzanne Plachette. I fell in love with her. Goodness, I must be 7 or 8 years old. And my family told me, if you want a woman like that, you have to become a psychologist or something like Bob Newhart. So I've been fascinated with psychology, not just because of Suzanne Plachette. God, she was gorgeous.
But it pushes it. We need a good career, because that's what they tell us when we're kids. They're like, go get that big career. You're going to get that girl in the end. And the girl, they just tell her, you go get a great man. That's it.
So needless to say, I got my doctorate degree in clinical psychology, but I really became fascinated, even to this day, into what is called forensic psychology. Psychopathy, sociopathy. In my past life, goodness, it's been about 15, 20 years now. I was a forensic psychologist doing assessments in criminal, civil, and family courts. Then from there, moving on, early on, I wrote a concept called dark psychology back in 2006, which is at the website, free to download, to print, which is dark psychology is what I call is the dark side of human consciousness. Okay. Also, back then, I was very interested in studying psychopathy. Went up to Toronto and took the training created by Dr. Robert Hare. He is the father of modern understanding of psychopathy. So okay. I took the training for the psychopathic deviant scale, and that really got me lit. And from that point on, I have spent the last 20, 25 years studying the dark side. Wow. Religious folks would call it evil. Those of us that are in criminal psychology, criminology, you've got the pedophile, the deviant, the sexual and on and on and on.
Yeah.
And around 2009, 2010, the light bulb went off when I realized that if I was a deviant, if I was a pedophile, if I was a psychopath and I was looking to exploit and take advantage of others, where best to go? Boop! And that's when the light bulb went out.
Wow.
And back in 2009, I wrote the concept of iPredator, because an iPredator, you can sit or you can use your mobile device and you can be whoever the fuck you want to be and nobody knows. So it is you, if you're going to target somebody, you as the iPredator, you decide whether you're going to divulge your identity or you want to be completely anonymous, which I call the veil of anonymity.
Wow. So, there's a lot to unpack right there. What do you do in iPredator exactly now?
Well, by day, that's after working on the weekends. By day, okay. I'm a clinical psychologist. I have my own group practice where I treat the chronically mentally ill, schizophrenia, schizoaffective, bipolar, some dementia, some alcohol and drug addiction. So I see, about 60 to 70 patients weekly. I also have other psychologists and social workers at other facilities that do the same thing. Then after work and on the weekend is when I do all my iPredator stuff. I publish every day my novice attempt at graphic design, my educational cyberbullying, cyberstalking. You can call them PSAs or public domain images, but I post them throughout my social media. And I also, what I do after work is, since 2010, I have volunteered after work and on the weekends, helping those that have been cyber attacked. Now, mind you, I am a tech idiot. I know very little technology. I mean, goodness, hooking up my microphone today. Now, meanwhile, I've hooked up my microphone, 70 times doing these interviews, but every single time I get worried, oh my God, I hope I can connect. That's how much of an idiot I am when it comes to technology. My expertise is between the ears, which is the cyber psychology. Yeah. And what is cyber psychology? Well, psychology is the study of human behavior. Cyber psychology is the study of human behavior as it relates to information and communications technology, social media, email, digital device, anything that is communication technology falls under what is called ICT, information communication technology. iPredators, which we're going to discuss today, they live in what I call the dark side of cyberspace.
It's good, because my next question was, how do you define cyber psychology? So after that is, why is it now more important than ever to understand this shit?
Well, that's a great question, man. We live in cyberspace essentially. Now, not to date myself, I don't want to give in case there's trolls out there, cyber criminals. Is that I could say I'm 60 years old, so I grew up in a pre-information age world. Okay,
Yeah.
it wasn't until I hit my 40s and then 50s that I was introduced to information technology, social media. Today, from most people, from the time we wake up to the time we go to bed, we are surrounded by information communication technology, whether it's social media, whether it's webcasting like this, whether it's online gaming. Even at work, when I go to work and I sit down, I meet with my patients and I do my notes, I'm using an electronic medical records. Old school in a pre-information age world, I'd write that shit down. I'd write a progress note. Now everything's done online. So we are literally enveloped by information technology. And what do we live in? The information age, which started in the late 1970s. The birthday of the internet is 1983. So for all of us, including you and your listeners, we are at the beginning of a period of history called the information age, which likely is going to last a couple of centuries. And now we're just being introduced to the next, I guess, chapter of information technology, which is virtual reality and artificial intelligence. And those are the big two. Within 100 years, a century from now, it is all going to be completely different. But needless to say, there still will be iPredators, and they will be more advanced and they will be more technological savvy.
Absolutely. And I had another expert of cyber bullying, and he's more on the tech side. And he told me that the third biggest revenue in the world every year is cybercrime, with $9.5 trillion.
Yes.
I was like, what the fuck? So it's two countries, 1 and 2, and then it's a crime. I was like, what the fuck? That is a lot of money. And you keep seeing these heroes on YouTube, like calling these scammers, wasting these scammers' times and exposing them to try to. Thank God we have these people, because the police can't do everything with these cyber like stalking and stuff. There's a lot of people that are living stalking and can't really, there's not a law that he's really crossing yet. So it's such a touchy fucking thing, because technology advanced so fast. And back then, like 60 years ago, when you wanted to stalk somebody, where you were at his window looking inside his home, it was the only way. But now the laws didn't advance with what it gave us. So these criminals have an a few steps ahead of the laws, that, because I don't even know if we can create laws with algorithms to like figure out if people are doing that, unless we break the privacy of people. Like it's crazy. It's such a touchy world in the information world that we are in.
And it's only growing. So real quickly, I want to give you, I'm assuming we have a little bit of time here.
Yeah, we got time.
8 typologies that make up the iPredator. Okay, so first and foremost, and again, with my concept, there's others who may see this and think, disagree with it a little bit. So the first one is cyberbullying. Cyberbullying, in most people that study and have expertise in cyber psychology, cyberbullying is child-on-child cyber attacks. It's pediatric. It occurs among children. So that is the first one, cyberbullying. Okay. The adult manifestation of cyberbullying are cyber harassers, internet trolls, and cyber stalkers. That's where it gets a little bit more serious. Then what you just brought up are cyber criminals. Then we have cyber terrorists. Thank God there hasn't been a loss of life due to cyber terrorism yet. That's just around the corner. Then we have online child predators, and then online child pornography and distribution. Those 8 typologies make up the concept of iPredator. Now, very, very simple, because I'm not the smartest man in the world. I'm very competent. There are 3 criteria to know if you are an iPredator, or if somebody you suspect is an iPredator. Very common sense. First and foremost, first criteria is the use of information and communication technology to target somebody, to hurt, to steal from, to exploit, to tease, to taunt, to molest. So it's the use of information technology to harm another person or persons. That's first criteria. Number two is self-awareness that you're causing harm using information technology. Now, when we get into the legal aspects, you brought that up a little bit. When we talk about criteria two is a self-awareness. When we're dealing with some children and they're cyberbullying each other, a lot of times they don't know the harm and the anguish, stress that they're causing another child. So when the cyberbully is caught and confronted, oftentimes they'll say, I was just kidding. I didn't know that I was doing what I was doing. So the mitigating factors play a role. And then you have folks that suffer from psychiatric illness where they don't know when they're cyberstalking, how much harm they're causing somebody else. So criteria two is a self-awareness of causing harm using information technology. And then number three, the third criteria to be an iPredator is what I call cyber stealth. But really what cyber stealth is online deception. And I talked about that in the beginning. That is where I use online deception. Either I completely hide my identity where you don't know and I'm anonymous, which I call the veil of anonymity, or using my digital smoke and mirrors, I distort my identity or I distort my intentions on why I'm targeting you.
Okay.
So if you're using information technology to harm, you have self-awareness that you're hurting somebody. And if you bend the truth and you use deception using technology or your gift of gab, and if you meet those three criteria, you are an iPredator.
Wow. Okay. So we could follow those guidelines too, because I'm sure, like you said, most kids don't know the impact of these words on other people, and it's crazy because back then in the time, the only time you could get bullied is when you were with people, and you would go home and you would be in this safe space. But now there's no more safe space because if you got an Instagram, that's another way to get you, and then TikTok, and then another.
If I may, that is spot on. Okay. For instance, when I was a kid and I was bullied before I went through puberty and got up to be 6'1", I had the shit beat out of me on in the sports field, so forth and so on. And after I was bullied, and you bring it up, I was able to go home.
Yeah, exactly.
Home to my neighborhood, to my friend, to my family. So I was able to find sanctuary. Then you had summer vacation, you had holidays, you had, respite, you had time. Today, children who are cyberbullied and targeted, it is 24/7, 365. So whether it's the weekends, whether it's Christmas, whether it's a holiday, they can be targeted 24/7. The other piece is, and it's called cyberbullying by proxy. Not only am I fucking with you, I'm getting my friends, I'm encouraging, manipulating
my followers
to target you as well. So now it's not just me that's targeting you, it's myself and anybody else I get. And now you have a child who's being cyberbullied and he or she doesn't know what to do.
A lot of people try to censor people like that. They make their whole fans go report another YouTuber because they don't like what they say or whatever, and so you have these waves of 5,000 people going to report one YouTube channel just to censor him. It's incredible. A lot of people are trying to censor other people, and that's what Elon Musk figured out when he bought Twitter. He got into Twitter and he was realizing that they just had switches off on so many people, literally censor. You thought that you were sending it to the masses, but no, they were limiting for who you were really sending it to.
You abuse the power of a large corporation, big tech, to censor Americans. And you want to know something? Guess what? I'm so glad that you're censored down. I'm so glad you've lost your jobs. Thank God Elon Musk bought Twitter. You know, at your company or your former company where you worked, Twitter employees, over 98% of them donate to Democrats. So while you coordinated with DHS, the FBI, the CIA, our government, and outside groups to permanently ban, shadow ban conservative Americans and candidates like me, and the former president of the United States, President Donald J. Trump, you were censoring and wrongfully violating our First Amendment free speech rights. Guess what? None of you hold security clearances. None of you are elected, and none of you represent 750,000 people like I do.
It's incredible. So if it's not literally attacking you, they're just going to censor you off the map.
Exactly, and it's only grown. I mean, not that I work for Elon, but I think X is again. I think it's wonderful. I was on Twitter since 2009, 2010. I rarely used it because it was so heavily, not to get into politics and stuff like that, but it certainly wasn't even-handed. But now that Musk has taken it over, I go to X for all my news. I post my when I get the link from this interview, I'll post it there. So I that's right now, that is my favorite social media platform.
Yeah,
but
same.
When it comes down to it's understanding what it means to be targeted. Okay. It's understanding that we are at the beginning of a period of history, as I said earlier, called the information age. So oftentimes, as I said, I volunteer after work and on the weekends. Matter of fact, tonight, I have 2 calls I have to make to help some folks that have been attacked. The vast majority, I wouldn't say all of them, but I would say between 60 and 70% of everyone that I've spoken to, which must be several hundred by now, they have already been to the police. They have called their local courts. They have called the platforms, written the platforms. They have gone to their family, and unfortunately, when they go to their family, their loved ones say, just block them, turn them off, delete it. You're being melodramatic. You're going crazy. What the loved ones don't understand, nor does the system, is that, as I said earlier, 24/7, 365.
Yep.
And I have worked with people who have been internet trolled. I've been trolled as well. We could do a whole fucking show on what it means to be trolled. Internet trolls will call your job. They'll call your family. I have helped people that have lost their job because of internet trolls.
Yep.
And that is growing. So it's understanding that although we're sitting here talking on a digital device, it's understanding that it can be incredibly damaging what an iPredator can do, not just to you, the target, but to your job,
your life,
and your life. Yes.
There's some YouTubers that got fined, or gaming guys online that got fined because people called the police on his place, saying that he was suicidal or something, or just to bring the cops there. So a SWAT team arise when the guy is online just playing his life. People there, jealousy is a sickness, and since these fuckers can hide behind anonymous, well, it's free for all, and you can create an email in 2 seconds. It's fucking ridiculous. So, like the family said, "I'll block him." Oh, you can block him, but he just creates another fucking profile. Like, he's probably not behind that monkey face that you're seeing right there. It's not him. It's a human, and he's hiding behind that.
Right.
What is the concept of a troll trade, and how does it relate to online predation?
The Troll Triad is
Triad.
Thank you. And not that I'm sending you a marketing check but thank you. Troll Triad. Back in 2014, 2015, I was heavily trolled by an internet radio owner and his 2 colleagues. One was a dentist and the other one was just a propagandist, so forth. But I was targeted for an entire year. So Troll Triad. So what he would do is that he would go on in his podcast and he would defame, character assassinate me. So not only was I getting trolled by these 3 online users, I started getting calls and emails from his listeners. So the Troll Triad is a construct that introduces in groups of internet trolls. So it's 3, it can be 3,000. The cerebral is the brains of the operation. The cerebral in the group is the one who designs what's going to be done to the target. Mm-hmm. Second is the provocateur. The provocateur is it takes that information and begins to study, and how are we going to influence? How are we going to social engineer? How are we going to get others to listen to what we're saying and then to go after the target? And then the third archetype in the Troll Triad is the crier. And that was the internet radio host, the crier. Because what he did was he took the information from the cerebral, and then he took the dynamics and the structure about how the provocateur wanted it spread. And as a crier, he went online during his podcast and put it out there. That is Troll Triad. So Troll Triad is a minimum of 3, but it can be 3,000 where you have segments. But they're groups of internet troll online users that target a person, a community, a cause, and now slowly but surely what we're learning, nations.
Personally, what do you think his fucking problem was?
Well, that's another great question, man.
Yeah, for sure.
This is awesome shit, man. And I had nothing to do with it. The University of Manitoba back in 2014 did a huge study on internet trolls. And what they found, again, and I use it, and thank you, because I talk about it almost every radio interview I do, because I really want to piss off the trolls that are watching and listening.
Goddamn right.
What they found, it's called the dark tetrad. What they found is that internet trolls are at much higher rates of being sadistic, narcissistic, Machiavellian, and psychopathic. Okay? Psychopathic is they don't give a shit about targeting you. Machiavellian, the ends justify the means. Whatever they got to do to take you down, they're going to do. Okay? Sadistic, okay? Sadistic is nothing more than enjoying the harm you're causing somebody else. And then the last one, narcissistic, is the pride I feel that I was able to take down your damn podcast and get it off the airways. The dark tetrad. And that is what is amazing, because it really looks at the typologies of these online users that, I mean, when you think about it, my friend, it takes time, it takes effort, it takes energy. Sometimes it takes money if they have a little bit of cash. And you think about the shit that they're doing. They're sitting behind their desktop, or they're using their mobile device, and they're fucking with you.
Yeah.
And they enjoy it. And they're looking for the proverbial pat on the back from their friends who are also saying, yeah, go for it, go after them. And that's what the internet troll, what I call the predatory troll, is an individual that is psychopathic, Machiavellian, narcissistic, and that is the type of individuals that we're dealing with. Now, another quick thing I want to bring up that's related to cyber psychology, and that is the subconcept of iPredator. It's called ODDOR, and ODDOR stands for...
That was my next question. What is the concept ODDOR?
Oh, thank you, man. ODDOR is offline distress dictates online response. So whatever's going on in my offline world, whether I'm happy, whether I'm sad, manic, psychiatric, pissed off, however you want to define, I got yelled at by my boss, which is that Freudian stuff of sublimation. Whatever my offline condition is, psychological condition, directly affects what I do online. Information, okay, and it's always going to be this way, can only be manipulated and managed in 3 ways. We can compile information and data, we can disseminate information, or we can exchange information. Those are the only 3 ways that information can be manipulated and processed. Within those 3 is where the iPredator comes in, and where if I'm pissed off, or if I just drank a half a pint, a pint
alcohol,
I get on, I'm kind of pissed off. Now I go online and I can become iPredator. All right. And that's what ODDOR is. So essentially, from an internet safety standpoint, when I give advice on, internet safety is check yourself. I mean, if you're going to smoke a little grass, that's cool. If you're going to drink, just mind yourself. Know that when you get online, how you interpret what you're seeing and hearing, what you're saying, and how you're exchanging with others, how you felt before you sat down and got online directly affects how you're presenting.
And how you can impact others. So it would be nice to just take the time to, like, is it worth it? What I'm about to post at 2 a.m. half drunk? Probably not. Post-COVID, what psychological challenges have you seen emerge most frequently in your practice?
Well, I'm sorry, when you say in my practice working with chronically mentally ill or dealing in iPredator?
Dealing with iPredator.
Okay. So, well, I would say obviously COVID, post-COVID, but even pre-COVID, it's what we're starting to see now is more internet addiction. People are becoming compulsive dependent. So as I said earlier, we are enveloped from the moment we get up to the moment we go to bed. That doesn't mean we're addicted to the computer. On the weekends, I love going bike riding. I live in a great part of, Sheepshead Bay in Brooklyn. I love taking my bike out. I do a lot of stuff offline, okay? But at work and seeing all my patients, I'm using the computer to do my notes. I'm showing them YouTube, songs and music, so forth and so on. I'm coming home right now to educate a community, whoever, your followers, on iPredator. I'm using technology. But when I turn it off, I don't go through withdrawal. I don't feel a sense of missing.
Yeah.
Internet addiction is on the rise, where it is a compulsive dependency. There is a term, and I've helped a couple of people, and it's funny, but it really isn't. It's called nomophobia. And what nomophobia is when a person cannot find a hotspot to their mobile device, or they cannot connect, or they can't locate their mobile phone. And when they can't do that, they experience panic and anxiety. I remember, it's been a couple of years. I don't want to divulge too many details. But I helped a woman who called me on her land-based line in a panic because she could not find her mobile device, her cell phone. She was crying, and basically I had to be regular psychologist, Dr. Nuccitelli, to calm her down because she was literally having a panic attack.
Wow.
Well, by the grace of God, it turns out when she had gotten out of her car in her garage, the phone had fell behind the rear wheel of her front tire, and she ultimately was able to find it. But leading up to that, she was in sheer panic because she couldn't find her phone.
Yeah.
That is how some people get so immersed with their devices and with information technology.
Yeah. Like I said on another podcast, when I was a kid, I was like 16. My mom, if she would want to punish me, she'd be like, "Oh, you gotta stay in the house." I'm like, "No, why do I have to stay in the house? Like, I wasn't free to just live." And now it's like, "I'll take your Wi-Fi off."
Right.
Okay, Mom, no, it's the same impact, but we're such in a different world. We always wanted to stay outside when I was a kid, and we're talking about just like 16 years ago. So Facebook had just started and everything, but now we're just so addicted to this shit that if you take the Wi-Fi off for the kids, they're sad for a week.
And it's only continuing. I mean, online gaming in and of itself is a
for sure. That's where they get me.
Well, internet addiction, where people can go. When I was a kid, Atari, is the beginning stages. That's stuff. But today, people can, not just kids, but grown adults. They'll go. 12, 16, 24. I helped somebody, a year ago, went 36 hours. Was it Warcraft? I forget the games. I purposely don't do online gaming.
Yeah.
Because I could foresee myself getting addicted to online gaming. but it's very addictive. But on a serious note, when we talk about iPredator, we talk about particularly with cyberbullying, we are the first generation going forward to deal with the term and the concept called cyberbullycide. And that is when a child takes his or her life, commits suicide because they're being cyberbullied. And when you think about that, it's absolutely incredible. Mm-hmm. What I can't figure out yet, and again, I could be wrong, but I do believe what we see, interpret, and what we do online has a different effect to our mind. And, you know, one of the things I always say is cyberspace is an extension of human consciousness. And not that it's essentially a true extension yet, but we become so absorbed into technology and what we're doing on social media to where, for instance, if we were offline and you and I are hanging out and I call you an asshole, all right, you get pissed off, so forth and so on. But if it occurs online and I call you an asshole and then three other of my friends, as I said,
like it,
an asshole, like it, heart it, share it, it has a different effect.
Goddamn right.
And that's what I can't explain yet. It's not just the numbers of online users that can target you. For some reason, information technology is able to tap into human consciousness differently than if it occurs offline. Mm-hmm. So, for example, all right, stalking and cyberstalking. All your followers know what that is. But in my travels and in helping, I have helped people that have told me is being cyberstalked is far more fear-provoking, terror-provoking
for sure,
than being stalked offline. Mm-hmm. Now, when you think about that, it's odd because when you're being stalked offline, that stalker, that assailant can attack you, approach you, beat the shit out of you, and sometimes really become lethal and take your life. With cyberstalking, don't get me wrong, it can lead to that.
Yeah.
You're not dealing with somebody right in your face or somebody with a gun to your head. Cyberstalking, it's all done online, but yet people that I've helped tell me it creates more fear and more terror than if it were to occur offline. I can't explain that yet.
I think it's because of the anonymous of not knowing that person directly often. I think that's what's scary. It's like a girl, let's say it's in winter and she walks between two buildings and there's a guy walking. She could be stressed because it's a dude, but put him a ski mask on, even if it's winter, it's normal. Right. Well, out of nowhere, you don't know, you don't see the face. So it's like an anonymous, so you almost can't trust them. So I think that's what it does with online. And you were talking about like people taking their lives because of the cyberbullying and stuff. It's incredible. I remember when I was in school, there was a girl that gave a private picture to a dude, and the dude like a physical photo, and this dude showed everybody, took copies, and the whole school knew like in like 2 weeks. And this girl has been traumatized forever since then. And now when that happens, I seen a lot take their own life there, because it's a choice going on OnlyFans. But when you give a private photo to a dude and the dude put it online to the world to see, it's the same as before, but on a scale of fucking so bigger. So that's what's scary. Could you share a memorable case or story from your work helping others that were targeted by cyber assailants?
Oh, goodness. I don't have a specific one that stands out. I mean, the nomophobia case, the biggest piece to bring up is that the vast majority of people who are calling me, again, anybody can call. I do this 7 days a week, is that the majority of them have, either been to the police, the court system, and then others go to their loved ones and their loved ones minimize it. So when they call me, and I'm nothing special, I'm just a, psychologist, cyber psychology who created this theory, they're calling me and they're proverbially saying they're at the end of the rope. Nobody listens to them. Nobody gives a shit. And what I've learned is, unless you've been targeted, you or a loved one, you don't really know how fucked up it is and how stressful it can be to be targeted. And you kind of hit the nail on the head. It's the unpredictable nature. So when I said earlier about being bullied in a pre-information age world, I got to go home, back to my yard, my friends, my neighborhood. Today's children, when they're targeted, when they're cyberbullied, they don't know when it's going to happen. It could be Saturday afternoon. It could be Christmas Eve. And oftentimes they're being bullied at school, but then they go home and they're being targeted by that bully. And then now also there's all these others that are getting involved in targeting. So the most important piece is thinking about, is trying to understand information technology and what it feels. Mm-hmm. So for your viewers, your listeners, my recommendation is that if somebody tells you they're being trolled, they're being cyberstalked, it's understand for them, it is sheer terror. Not all the time, but when it occurs 2, 3, 4 times. So again, in order to be an iPredator, as I said, it has to be information technology to harm, a self-awareness of causing harm using technology, and then using online dissection. But from that, it's doing it repeatedly. So if I troll you one time on your podcast and I go into your chats when you're interviewing and I say to you, you're an idiot, do not, your podcast sucks. I do it one time, you get pissed off, life goes on. But if I keep doing it and doing it and doing it, then I start also going to your social media accounts. Then what I do is I take my time and I look, who are your biggest followers and your biggest advocates? Now I start to follow them on X or Facebook and I go after them. And slowly but surely I work my way in. And that, which is the severe form of the internet troll called the predatory troll. We can do a whole show on predatory trolls because they are an incredible bunch of psychopaths, but again, that dark tetrad, sadistic, Machiavellian, narcissistic. These people, they really, think about it, my friend. They enjoy causing you harm.
It's incredible. Cyber stalking has been growing an issue on the rise of this fucking technology. How do you think the legal systems need to evolve to effectively fucking address or maybe prevent these crimes, given the challenges of tracking these fuckers?
Well, the first thing, it's just starting. For many years, it would fall under aggravated assault. If there's restraining orders, order of protection. I always say if that ever occurs, you have to include in the order of protection, the restraining order, no electronic communications. Okay. Yeah. But still, as a society, we don't treat the iPredator, the cyber stalking, the cyber harassment, the internet trolling. We don't treat it as serious as it would be if it was offline.
Exactly.
But what cyber stalking is, and it occurs with children and obviously with adults, it occurs repeatedly. But cyber stalking is when the victim, the target, begins to fear their own physical safety or their livelihood. So if I'm just a straight troll and I'm calling you every name in the book and it's pissing you off, that's not cyber stalking. Cyber stalking is, and when I look at you and when you finish your podcast today and you go outside to go to your local deli, you better check your back tire and see if there's any 9-penny nails sticking in those tires. Maybe you should check your brake lines too. Cyber stalking implies it's either direct or indirect, assaults to physical safety or your livelihood. That's what makes cyber stalking so dangerous.
Since back in the day, stalking was all more physical, but now everything's online. How do you believe society can draw a line that's way clearer between free speech and harmful behavior like stalking?
As I said, again, free speech. I am a huge proponent of free speech. First Amendment, God bless America, but if the target or the victim, however you want to define yourself, begins to experience fear. Okay, they're afraid for their health, their safety, their job, their livelihood. That's when it begins to move away from, we have hate speech, but to me, that's when it moves into illegal online activities, is when a person begins to fear that they're going to be hurt.
But there's some people that are going to play with that. That's what sucks about that. It's like there's some LGBTQ people that let's say you don't guess ahead of time that girl wants to be called a he because you didn't guess it, and then she's all like you destroyed her. You're like, God damn. So the line is so
which is good, right? So in that example, they're offended. How dare you? But when it comes to cyber stalking, it's much more than being offended. It's I'm afraid I'm going to get hurt. I'm afraid that they're going to go after my son or they're going to go after my wife. Cyber stalking includes threats to my safety. Being offended, that's troll.
Yeah, that's life.
Fortunately, that is life. Yes.
What role do you think anonymous play in anonymity in online play for enabling these cyber stalkers, and how can we balance privacy with safety and in this increasingly connected world?
Well, as you remember, what we talked about in the beginning, criteria 3 of the iPredator cyber stealth is online deception. And within that, I can either completely, veil of anonymity, hide my identity. You don't know who the fuck I am.
That's
or
it.
Let's say you're my ex-wife. You know who I am. Online, and I am sitting here telling you, your friends, your followers, and I am threatening that something bad's going to happen if you don't, if you keep going to court and asking the judge for more money, boy, you better be careful. So that is the primary difference, is when we're dealing with that third criteria of the online deception. I can, for instance, the online child predator and the online child pornography consumer and distributor. Okay, almost always, not all the time, but almost always, they present themselves as being, let's say my target is a 15-year-old freshman. Well, I'm a 16-year-old sophomore that's at the high school.
Beside
20 miles down, and I have pictures and I have this. So I present myself using, cyber stealth. Where you actually think I'm a hot young little redhead that you're going to eventually meet or go to the prom with. Well, that's not true. The other way that online child predator is called online grooming, to where slowly but surely I let my target know, not that I'm a 55-year-old man pedophile. Kind of cool guy. I'm a little bit older than you. But the biggest thing is you can't tell your parents. Just don't tell any adults. And by the way, you want that new PS5? You want that nice silver necklace? Boom, I send it to you.
Exactly.
This is where the grooming occurs. But when it's done online, I can use cyber stealth and online deception like no tomorrow.
Absolutely. Shout out to Justin Payne. Justin Payne, there have been years. I think I've been following him for 10 fucking years. And that's what he does. He fakes that he's a child to catch these fuckers and put him on video. And he, at the beginning, they didn't arrest the dude because they didn't have enough. So now what he does is really extracts enough information that when he calls the cops for that meeting, well, the guy's fucked and they're going to jail now. So thank God we have people like that fucking taking these other guys out, because we can't have a million cops just faking online constantly, because we need them in the street. So it's so thank God we have these people that don't take that shit lightly. Are there particular warning signs of online deception that people should look out for in their personal and professional lives?
Well, when you say it's hard, because remember now, just like offline, just like people, when it comes to the criminal mind, I also now call it the cyber criminal mind, is that they are anywhere from on a continuum of dexterity and skill, anywhere from sheer novices and idiots to the Hannibal Lecter, which I call which is anybody can read my online psychopathy checklist, because where we used to have offline psychopaths, those offline psychopaths,
They upgraded.
they have upgraded. Oh, that was excellent. So you can check out my online psychopathy checklist, but that is where I introduced the idea of what I call the Doctus iPredator, and that is, I don't know if do you remember Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, Hannibal Lecter, who was, he was the serial killer that was incredibly brilliant, a doctor. Doctus iPredator is a technologically savvy, super intelligent psychopath that goes online to target, to exploit, and to do his and or her bidding online. They exist and they're real. And if they are really good, you can't catch them.
And
nor do you know that they're a psychopath.
A lot of them use dating sites as well now, because there's so many lonely people in the world, especially men. So a lot of these fake scams that these fake females, they appear in your life. You trust her sometimes for months, and you even video chat with the girl. It all looks real until you trust her enough for an investment, and then you get your money back, and you're like, "Wow, what the fuck? I just gave her 500. She gave me 570 back. Then you put that 5,000, but she knows you have 23,000 in the bank, so she's gonna keep doing that until that last shot of 20 G's that you think you're gonna get out with 29. No, that was the last one, and she gone, and that person disappears forever. So they literally aim for people that are normally weak or not internet savvy. Like my neighbor keeps getting calls and emails from the bank here, and she called the bank straight up, like, why the fuck did you guys call me? They had the information of how much money she had in the bank account, and when she called the bank said, we never called, and you were quite smart for your age to figure out that was a scam. Like, she hung up. She's like, I ain't getting robbed. And because I tell her so many stories, I think I got to her, so she hanged up on them. And she was like, a lot of people have been calling lately because of that, because they figure a way to know your fucking bank account, people, and then use it as a fake of your bank calling, and then you're going to give him information because you're like, he knows the number of my bank account, so obviously it's a guy from the bank. No, it's not, people. So that's so dangerous, not knowing who the fuck you're facing in a relationship or anything online, because it's anonymity. It's so dangerous. Who are the online psychopaths, and how do they differ from the traditional predator in their approach?
Well, online psychopaths, one of the things I want to bring out, because it falls into what you were bringing, is that we talked a little bit about ODDOR. Offline distress dictates online response, okay? So if offline I have low self-esteem, I'm unhappy, I have a proclivity towards depression, I'm just not happy with life. Well, what you have, which is a sub-concept of iPredator, and you don't have to be Dr. Hannibal Lecter, super psychopath. You could just be somebody that has some scruple. I call it the IVI, the iPredator victim intuition. Cyber criminals, internet trolls, cyberstalkers, online child predators, they can go online, whether it be Reddit, Facebook, they can go to social media. iPredator victim intuition. Obviously, they learn an aptitude. They become skilled to know who is the best victim, who is the best target. And once they're, if they're good at it, they can pick out a victim, a mile away. Yeah. That is where the iPredator, the online psychopath, many cyber criminals, if they're skilled at IVI, they are expert at knowing who to target.
Yeah, it's like all those scam from the calls that you get from like not your bank but other stuff there. Normally they all come from another country, and they call in the States or North America, and most of the people that they call are over 50 years old. They're aiming for the people that are probably gonna fail for it, or let's say you have somebody in your family that has dementia or something. Oh, don't worry, they know, and they're gonna call. So it's like they know that kind of stuff. That's why they're aiming you. They didn't choose you out of random. This is the number we're calling. No. If you're on that list, it's because they saw something in you that they can aim at you. A lot of people don't know that.
Yes, and a lot of times iPredators, they will spend, again, they're sitting behind.
Yeah, they got nothing to do.
They have nothing to do. So they will take their time and they will study and they will go to your social, say you're a potential mark. Okay. So now I'll go to Facebook. I'll go check out your Instagram, your X account. You're over there on Reddit, maybe you're posting recipes or something on Pinterest. And then I take my time and I slowly but surely begin to evaluate and to assess and to profile you to see if you're a good mark. And this is what the skilled iPredators do. And if I can pick up and observing you and that you're depressed and you have a low and you're discouraged and you have a low self-esteem, you're perfect.
Do you think the digital age has fundamentally changed human behavior? And if so, how?
Oh, most certainly. Offline, we have our 5 senses to hear, smell, see, touch. Okay. Well, obviously, online, all of that has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Online, tactile sensation, nonverbal communication is all skewed. Now, obviously, right now, I can look at you and I can make basic assumptions, but that's about it. I can only see what you're putting forward me. The really advanced tech-savvy iPredators, they can put up an image. They can create a profile. It's not even them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how good they are. And as I said at the beginning, now that we're moving into virtual reality and artificial intelligence, it is amazing what now artificial intelligence can create and put forward to where you think you're talking to a real person. No, that's just 100 million digital connections and a creation of a however you want to call it. That's real, and it's only going to become more frequent.
And now we have AI that can, let's say they listen enough audio of you or enough video of you, they could create a video of audio and video of you, and it's AI. You're like, what the fuck? It's fucking crazy and very impressive. Like I have a program for editing, for example, and it has an AI in it, and it tells me that it can transfer my own language in another language, and like French, and literally have the same accent, have the same. I'm like, what? And literally make my mouth move perfect in that language. I was like, oh my God. And visually, and man, if you're not checking perfectly, it looks flawless. So I can't even imagine the programs that these fuckers can get. Like, because if you pay a program, you get way more access to a lot of stuff. So it's scary. You remember when they tried to stop Trump to get elected the first time, and they only showed us this hearing of audio. Oh, sometimes when you're this rich, you could just put your hand on their pussy, and that is a fact. There's no lie in that. Every billionaire can tell you that there, but no, I don't know where they try to crucify him. So they could today they could do an audio recording of anybody saying fucking anything. So it's incredible.
And it's only going to continue. So
exactly.
As we approach the end, and I say this every time I get the and by the way, thank you for having me on. It allows me the time to educate folks. But to remember this, and I always say it 3 times, obviously we can't completely, avoid being targeted. All right. I've been targeted a bunch. I think a lot of the reason why I was targeted because I created this concept. But it's very important for your viewers, your listeners, your followers. I'll say it 3 times. Personal information, personal information, personal information. The less personal information you put out there, the lower risk you're at. Now, obviously, such as yourself or public figures, celebrities, politicians, okay, they have to put out some personal information. But even with them, they can truncate how much. For instance, not to toot my own horn, but you go to any of my 12 social media accounts, you will find very little personal information about me. You'll find a shitload of my PSAs, my public domain, educational awareness images that I've been doing for the last decade. What you won't find is that I'm going on vacation to go down the Jersey Shore 2 months from now. So now everybody knows that I'm not in my house. I also don't share how I really feel. I share nothing personal about myself online. So that is the number one thing that everybody can do. Go to all of your social media, all your profiles, and make sure the shit that you have public, an iPredator can't take that and use that to his or her advantage.
How do you approach the subject of online addiction with your clients, and what strategies have proven to be effective?
Well, I when you say clients, I don't have patients, clients, not that I've done teletherapy, but in my volunteer work, I've helped people that are internet addicted. Essentially, you want to just be able to say, just turn it off and go for a walk, but it doesn't work that way. Internet addiction is just like any other addiction. It's not a chemical addiction like alcohol or drugs. It's a behavioral addiction, like pornography addiction or gambling, behavioral addiction, but they're compulsive dependency. So it's talking to a person and trying to encourage them to put boundaries. So instead of spending 15 hours straight online gaming, how about if we start off if you can go 8 hours?
Yeah, cut it in half at least, bro.
It's getting the individual to see what are the negative consequences of their online usage. And that will usually help them to see the consequences, the shit that's the problems that it's causing them, has led them to realize that they're internet addicted. Again, I've helped several hundred folks over the last 10, 15 years. And I've helped a couple of people who actually lost their job because they spent so much time, in both cases, it was online gaming, that they didn't go to work.
Yeah.
And they ended up getting terminated.
I had a guy, a porn addiction. He was a CEO of a company, and with 2-3 other guys, and 2-3 other guys, because he couldn't even come in anymore. He was just on porn all the time and alcohol. So they managed to get him out of there and get him in a program to get fixed. Because this is how he's like, I knew I had to go to work, but he's like, it's such an addiction to the highest degree. And there was studies that I saw that compared internet addiction to cocaine. And cocaine, I was addicted to cocaine for 2 years, and it was unimaginable. So this is as serious as it is. A lot of people don't understand how serious this addiction is. And social media is one of the biggest drivers of this online addiction. What do you think makes these platforms so addictive in your opinion?
Well, again, in the beginning, I wish I could say I knew. I only am suspect is that we are social creatures. I did my doctorate degree at Adler University. Alfred Adler, younger than Sigmund Freud, but what Alfred Adler said, which we all know, is that we are social creatures. We are animals. We are social pack animals. And what Adler said is we come into this world and we go out of this world looking to be part of, to be accepted, to be validated. That is how important it is to be recognized. And what he said is that when people engage in illegal activities for power and control, for whatever, it's all about being accepted, to be recognized. So what he said is even when you go down the useless side of life, crime, deviance, so forth and so on, that is all part of being recognized. So when we go online, think about the word social media, social. Okay, it's this idea that in the old days it was getting connected. If anything, it is the complete opposite. The more time you spend online, yes, you can have a shitload of friends and online associates, but in reality, what you're doing is you're disconnecting yourself from reality. Because cyberspace, social media, online, all of it is a fantasy. It is what we create. Okay. I look at you and I make, assumptions based on the hat you're wearing. The best is yet to come. That cool little thing next to the lion. Okay. Those little things are in my mind. I make assumptions. What's behind you, the tarp, so forth and so on. I get off done with you. I go on with my life. You interview another person. You interview another person. Our mind, our brain, neuronally, from a neuroscientific standpoint, somehow it's all connecting differently than if it were to occur offline. I can't explain it yet, but I have a feeling somehow as the internet grows, as I said, cyberspace is an extension of human consciousness. I feel the digital universe is essentially becoming a Xerox copy of the brain. I know that sounds utterly ridiculous, but when you think about it, who creates information technology? A shitload of brains, okay?
Yeah.
To me, there's something going on because the one thing I can tell you, people respond differently when they're targeted online than when they're targeted offline.
Absolutely. And what I seen a study that talks about Call of Duty, the video game of shooting. And the reason why they started to put achievements on everything. You jump 50 times, bang, an achievement. You bend down 50 times, another achievement. It's like you shoot somebody, and right when you kill him, it says 100 points right on top of it. And they realize that why they should put that achievements everywhere. It's because the high of achieving something, well, the person gets it. So the social medias, then when you analyze that, well, you got notification of a different sound on all of them, and so that creates like, oh, the high of, should I pick it up? Should I pick it up? It's the same as these video games trying to keep you there, I find.
Well, it's good. It's just like gambling, If you're a prime bandit, you keep putting your money in. You're not going to win every time, but if you win 1 out of 60 times and you win $50, boom, there's the dopamine, serotonin reuptake, and then boom, boom, boom. That's what pushes. That is the addiction. The behaviorist, I think it's called variable. I may be wrong. The variable positive reinforcement, but it's intermittently being recognized, validated, winning, and that is what pushes the person to keep going.
Absolutely. What's the most counterintuitive psychological insight that you've learned about how people justify their unhealthy online behaviors?
Well, I think is what I've learned is that people seem to, portray being online as innocent. It is something to pass the day. It's something to scroll. They don't see the impact. Again, we talked a little bit earlier that, children and cyberbullying, when the cyberbully, the assailant, is caught, is confronted, I was just kidding. I wasn't being serious. We as a species, I mean, not all of us. I mean, I certainly understand. We don't understand the impact that what we do, what we say, how we portray ourselves online. We don't really understand the effect it can have on other people. Mm-hmm. Even people that are thick-skinned can be traumatized if targeted, I hate to say correctly, but if done in a manner, anybody can be triggered.
What is the concept IVI, and how does it apply to addiction and manipulation online?
Okay, again, IVI is iPredator victim intuition.
Okay.
What that is a skill, and it's learned. With time, and if I have a little bit of intellect or I'm good at understanding human behavior, I know by looking at your Facebook, by what you're posting, you've been posting an awful lot about your breakup and your ex-girlfriend. Okay. I also noticed over on Instagram, you're talking about that. iPredator victim intuition is my ability to know and to learn that you are a good mark. You are a great victim, a great target for me to now come in and do my,
So literally they create a profile like they're like, okay, well, this guy has been a breakup, so we should probably like if we do something with him, we should go on the side of he's lonely, maybe go with a cyber crime of dating or anything like that. Like you see where the little hole in the boat is to like fuck it. get in that person and make that person trust you or harm that person.
Right, and the vast majority of iPredators, now mind you, obviously cyberstalking, cybercrime, as you said earlier, $1 trillion, online child pornography, online child predation, those are obviously illegal activities. But the vast majority of iPredators and what they do is legal. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
It is the psychological, that's cyber psychology. It's attacking people. It's character assassination. It's disinformation. It's social engineering. It's doing whatever you can to psychologically rape your target.
What advice would you give someone struggling to rebuild their mental health after online issues like bullying or being stalked?
Well, obviously it's a lot easier said than done
Yeah.
Reduce the amount of time that you're online. But one of the things I tell everybody, and it applies to whether you're being targeted or not, is to post educational information.
Exactly.
Whether you like to cook, whether you like to travel, it is taking your time. Instead of sitting here and reading all the nonsense on Facebook and X and stuff, you can still do that. But now, how about start to post or to write about things that you're passionate about? And it's educating others, because there are plenty of people out in cyberspace that want to learn. And that is very therapeutic. Okay. Number two, it's understanding that the vast majority of the shit you see and you read online is not real.
Exactly.
Okay. It's all part of a fantasy.
Yeah.
And it's understanding that. And you can turn off your device. You can walk away. You can go hang out with others, go down to the bar, play a little pool, throw some darts. And that is far more qualitatively relevant to who you are as a person, as opposed to being online 24/7, doing online gaming.
Mm-hmm. I got two more. What do you think a society can do as a whole to create a safer and healthier digital environment?
Oh,
what do you think?
Thank you. I presented this a long time ago, and with Donald Trump and Melania Trump, I don't know, for those of you, and again, not to get political, but in her first term, and she's doing it again, it's called the Be Best campaign. And Be Best is focusing on, obviously, the opioid epidemic, but most importantly is online abuse. So when I put out my images now, now that I know that they're going to be in the house, I hashtag every cyberbullying, every cyber stalking image. I now hashtag it with Be Best.
That's it.
I have a blog post thanking Melania Trump back from 2016, thanking her for Be Best. That is what we need to do. Is we need to understand we are a society, a culture now globally that is developed by information technology, and that's only going to continue. We need to do something about it. I also believe that it should be compulsory education, K through 12. Just like when I was a kid, I had to take health class. I took wood shop. I took metal class. What I believe is that children should be introduced to digital citizenship, how to behave online, cyberbullying prevention. It should be part of the core curriculum, just like health class and metal shop. Children, starting as early as possible, maybe middle school, but I would also say elementary, because children now, as young as 3 and 4, are being handed mobile devices.
It's fucking crazy.
It's insane. All the way through high school, there is a class, it's compulsory, where they learn these basic components and understand what it means to live in the information age. Another idea that I wrote years ago, I called it the IP3141. And at the time, I think there's more now.
It sounds like a plane.
There are 3,141 counties in the continental United States.
Okay.
I feel through federal, private, and state funding, every county has a center where anybody such as you or me could go to if we're being targeted.
Wow.
Also to go to report if we suspect terrorism, potentially cyber terrorism, online child predation, online pornography, to where there's an actual center where, most importantly, they fucking believe us.
Yeah.
We go there. I mean, obviously, there's those of us, I work with them, God bless them. There are people that identify themselves as being targeted individuals. There are people that are paranoid. There are people that suffer from serious psychiatric illness, and they believe that they're being targeted when they're not. But the vast majority of online victimization are regular folks just like you and I. And how nice it would be is if I could go within my county, go to a center, sit down and talk to somebody, and they believe me. That is the biggest thing that I've heard. And again, I'm not tooting my own horn. Thank you, Dr. Nuccitelli. You understand. And all I'm doing is I'm listening. But what I'm not doing is I'm not minimizing their experience, because it's scary as shit to be targeted.
Goddamn right. And I think those two ideas are fucking genius. Because one thing, like when I was in high school, it was separated in two. We were 2,200. There was like 1,100 on one side, the French side, and I was on the other side, like 950. And our side got laptops right away. So at 14 years old, all the English side had laptops, but we never got told nothing about about protecting yourself. Nothing. We didn't get a computer class. I don't know. It was just that we're in a world of technology. There you go. So even us right then and there, that we're in a world of it, like we didn't get explained shit. We just got given a laptop.
Right. Anybody can go to the website. Everything, by the way, everything at my website is free. It's public domain. You don't even have to get an email Addy in order to download my shit. But what I post is 42 examples of cyberbullying tactics. It's kind of like, and one of them is called VLE bullying, cyberbullying, virtual learning environment cyberbullying. That is where kids, students within the virtual learning environment, while we're being taught math or health or whatever, you cyberbully other kids through the virtual learning environment. That's just one of 42. So there is a plethora of ways that not just children, but adults can target one another.
So as the last question, as a mental health professional, what are the positive aspects of digital world that you encourage your clients to embrace?
Well, it is a great way to express your creativity. It can act as anti-exilic for some of my patients. And mind you, schizophrenic, schizoaffective, some have dementia, some are pre-Alzheimer's. I mean, the chronically mentally ill I work with, not all, but I would say 60 to 70% of them, I ask them, what do you want to listen to today? You know, oh, I'd love to hear Pink Floyd's Time. Okay. Yeah. I turn my computer around because I have a nice big laptop, turn it up, turn the volume up, and they get to listen to Pink Floyd for 7-8 minutes. That is soothing. There are many benefits to information. In fact, the benefits, outweigh the detriments. I mean, when we talk about technology, the movement into nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, a time, well, it's already happening to now, where surgeries can occur where the surgeon are hundreds of thousands of miles away.
Yeah, that's incredible.
Incredible. The stuff that Elon Musk is doing with Starlink, to where people in rural areas eventually will be able to connect.
It's incredible.
The benefits of information technology are incredible. The downside of information technology is iPredator, and part 2 of that is we're doing nothing about it. And that's where I'm here with iPredator. I'm saying we got to do something. We can't sit here and allow this to continue, because eventually not just people will be hurt, but a community. And when we move into the idea of cyber terrorism, which is the use of information technology to cause, non-military combat, civilians to be hurt and to be killed, to be murdered using information technology, that is cyber terrorism.
Absolutely. And Matt, what you said about what Elon Musk doing, it's incredible, because when they destroyed all the communication in Ukraine, US wasn't doing shit. He sent satellites over them so they get phone and TV. Yes. it's like we need people like this in life because everybody deserves to have communication, deserves to have information. It's just how you take it, and always be careful in online addiction, people. And I want to thank you, Michael. It's been a blast, and you're such an amazing guy trying to help people online with this this subject that a lot of people that we're all in, but a lot of people are negligent or don't know really this subject. So thanks again for coming on. It was a blast.
Oh, thank you for having me on. And based on the response, we could do another show down the road. In fact, again, not everything at my website is free. It's public domain. For those of you that think that maybe your internet addiction, I have my internet addiction risk checklist.
Oh, there you go.
Time. But that is where you can assess whether or not you're truly internet addicted. And lastly, I would say of all the pages at iPredator, the cyberbullying, which is the cyberbullying, the 42 examples, but the other one, obviously because people love the dark side of consciousness in cyberspace, is online psychopathy. And that, I mean, that really, when I think about how psychopaths have been offline, what they're doing now and their capacity of what they can do online is absolutely incredible.
Perfect. So I'm going to put all your socials on the sides and at the bottom. So go check them out and go check this stuff, people. You need to get informed in this kind of shit. So thanks to everybody for watching, and let's have a good weekend.